Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome to the Beyond Explore conference on the topic of gaming and esports. Game on, the evolution of esports and gaming. Today, I'm Allan Phang from Galaxy Racer, and today we have a special guest, Mr. Lau Kin Wai, co-founder and president of ESPL, and Miss Kelly Chiew, senior public relations manager from MOONTON Games. I'll let them do the introductions and maybe start with Kelly. Please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Allan. Hi, everyone. Good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. I'm Kelly from MOONTON Games. I have joined the company as of earlier on this year as the Senior Public Relations Manager, and I handle most of the media activities and the PR materials for the company, be it whether or not if it's gaming or esports. I'm the person to go to. Over to Kinwai.
Hi everyone, I'm Kin Wai, or better known as Kin as well. I have been an entrepreneur in digital media, internet, and gaming space for a long time. Started ESPL, Esports Players League, about 2 years ago with a couple of my friends and partners. And ESPL is a global amateur esports platform with presence in 17 countries today.
Thank you, Kelly and Kinwai. Maybe just a bit of short introduction about your company, the companies you're working in as well. Maybe start with Kelly. You can share about MOONTON Games and the amazing acquisition by ByteDance this year. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much, Allan. MOONTON has actually been around for quite a while, actually. We are the developer, or rather, I would say the international gaming developer of Mobile Legends Bang Bang. It is actually one of the most widely played MOBA that you can actually easily download and access through your mobile platform, either through Apple App Store, either Google Play. We also have several Mobile Legends leagues around the world. This includes Mpl Singapore, Mpl Malaysia, Cambodia, and we also recently went westward. We also started Mpl Brazil around in July, actually, July or June. And it was quite exciting. We had over 20K plus PCU viewers, and we hope to also continue the success of all of our leagues actually globally and make a much more greater push this year with the M3 World Championship happening in Singapore.
Yeah. Thanks, Kelly. Kelly's being very modest. Personally, I know that Mobile Legends has millions of downloads and average users per month, and also tons of views. Can you share about the recent? All good. Some technical issues, but all sorted out. Anyway, we're esports and gaming, and we're all about fun. So welcome, Tryke. Let me do a quick introduction for Tryke as well. We got Tryke, CEO of Tier 1 Entertainment. Maybe Tryke, you can share a bit about yourself. Quick introduction.
Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Tier 1 Entertainment. Tier 1 Entertainment is an entertainment company around esports and gaming. Basically, we currently have 1,000 creators within our company. We're operational in the Philippines, Malaysia, Myanmar, Japan, and Vietnam currently. We also have 120 plus people working in the company right now. Yeah, so that's about it for me.
Thank you, Tryke. We were just sharing a bit about MOONTON. Kelly, can you share more about some of the recent successes and millions of viewers, especially like in Indonesia, etc.? It's all going viral on LinkedIn. Yeah, please
So
feel free to
recently
share,
in
Kelly.
Indonesia, recently in Indonesia, we actually just blasted and we just smashed records with a new 2.3 million peak viewership. That happened for MPL Indonesia, and we are really, really very proud and pleased of the success. We also hope to endeavor this come for our M3 World Championship as well. Also, we work together with One Esports for the MPL Invitational. So just a year-on-year comparison, in 2020, MPL Invitational had around 723K peak viewers. But this year for 2021, they actually also broke records. It actually surged up to 1.7 million. So that's literally like a 110%, I guess,
Wow.
jump in terms of viewership increase. We are very, very pleased and happy, and we also hope to grow the gaming side of IP through further collaborations and partnerships, working with other brands as well. So if you're interested to work with us, always feel free to link me up on LinkedIn.
Nice. Great plug-in, Kelly. And awesome numbers. Congrats again. And Kinwai, can you also share a bit about ESPL so at least the viewers get a bit of understanding? And congrats on the recent investments I saw in the news.
Yep, thank you, Allan. So we are, as I said, a global amateur esports platform. Our main geographical coverage include Latin America, Southeast Asia, Europe, the Indian subcontinent as well. We run more than 26 popular game titles on our platform. We are a pure online esports platform. And incidentally, we started at the beginning of the pandemic. So that was among the crazy things that we have done to launch a company, to launch a brand new business right at the start of the pandemic. But little did we know that actually pandemic was really a very, very cool thing for the online esports industry because a lot of people were locked down at home, couldn't go to work, couldn't go to school, for example. So we have really a very good response from the gaming community. Just some example, I think we have more than, just last year alone, we have more than 20,000 esports teams formed on our platform. So we are very, very engaged with the esports, the amateur community. Grassroots, we work with them a fair bit. Our competitions are very well received in countries like Indonesia, India, Bangladesh, Mexico, Brazil, and some of these tournaments, we have more than, I would say, more than typically 800 teams to compete on some of the titles that we host on the platform. So it's been a great 2 years, really excited to see the growth of esports, especially for us in the grassroots level is where our passion is.
Thanks, Kinwai. And also, Tryke, can you share a bit more about Tier 1 as well? I saw you recently expanded expansion into Japan. Congrats on that. And yeah, over to you.
So for us, I think we really found success in the Philippines initially, where we have created multiple IPs such as the Gaming House. We have Blacklist International, which is now a winning team in Mobile Legends. And the plan in 2020 was to be able to replicate that in other markets. So we started in Malaysia and then eventually in Myanmar, right? Unfortunately, Myanmar had some challenging, national issues that they faced, which kind of like had a certain setback for the Myanmar market. However, we are still committed to the Myanmar market as of now. And looking into other markets, we looked into Vietnam, we looked into Indonesia and the other markets as well in Southeast Asia. However, one country that we saw has so much opportunities for gaming and esports was Japan. And for me, being able to speak Japanese and I grew up there and I understand the culture and I feel like that's the mecca of geek culture, right? So we wanted to be able to be there so that we can grow the Tier 1 brand and eventually that country can turn into a springboard for Tier 1 entertainment to become a global brand someday.
Thanks, Tryke. Okay, thanks for introduction, guys. It's good for our audience to know the great stuff you guys have been doing. And let's jump right into the first question. What are the trends driving innovation and growth in the esports industry? Maybe we'll start with Kelly.
Thanks, Allan. So I think in terms of what is actually driving growth here or some of the trends that are driving innovation within the industry itself, definitely I would say that it's the increase and the penetration of mobile devices, mobile, I would say, new ways of innovation of going more increasingly mobile to actually drive more viewership as well. So that is something that we are seeing from our end, especially now these days. One person definitely has more than 2 or 3 mobile devices even, or even 3 or 4 mobile plans at one go. Some of them, they might use it for work. Some of them might actually specifically use it for gaming as well. So this is actually what we are seeing that is actually driving the trend in terms of the esports industry that actually helps to raise viewership and higher peak esports viewer counts from our end as well. Definitely, I think the appetite or the consumer growth for mobile esports in particular, it will soon surge or actually grow much further in China, Southeast Asia, and Latin America especially. when it comes to the likes of Brazil, more and more players or more and more traditional PC gamers are now venturing into mobile esports, and that was also how and the reason why we saw the launch of MPL Brazil, because more PC and traditional gamers were now going forward to start off and also do more mobile competitive esports play. So with that in mind, definitely the traditional PC giants, I think we will probably also see a momentum or a shift towards going more and more mobile as well. Another thing that we're also seeing from our end, and I think Tryke, you might probably agree with me, is that more esports organizations, they are definitely diversifying, as per what you mentioned before, looking into more than one avenue beyond certain traditional sports structure as well, and positioning the company into a lifestyle brand or moving towards more content strategy focused brand as well. When I say lifestyle brand, what I actually mean is that it is definitely transcending that of a typical like sports structure and entering into that of a pop culture as well. We've seen that happening in other games, and we also want to do the same or do a much more greater push for our game as well, such with the Transformers IP and Star Wars IP that we have worked before very recently, actually this year.
Yeah, congrats on the Transformers IP and Star Wars IP. Saw it on social media. And how about Kinwei? Can you share your views as well?
Allan, I think I totally agree with what Kelly has earlier said. Mobile devices are driving among the adoption and so innovation for esports. And of course, esports will always be multi-platform across all the major popular platforms that gamers game on. But that said, I think the mobile device would be probably the fastest growing, I'm sure, for this year or even last year. On top of that, we see really a very fast-paced uptake in terms of 4G technology now getting widespread use across many countries, especially emerging markets. And you have a 5G network coming on in many of the markets that we are familiar with this year and next year. So I think that access to bandwidth and affordable bandwidth, more importantly, is going to drive further adoption, and that will create innovation and success in the esports market and industry, I'm pretty sure. There are very interesting concepts and trend coming in as well. For example, VR gaming. I think that could really go into mainstream esports soon, if it's not really considered partially a mainstream event for some of the games that we look into. You have even blockchain gaming, NFT-based gaming that are trending very heavily in spots of the gaming community. So I think those are technology trend to look for, and as well as the network access trend that will drive innovation.
Thanks, Kinwei. And Tryke, how about yourself? Kelly did mention about lifestyle and what Tier 1 is doing. Maybe you can share as well your thoughts about the trends and innovation driving the esports growth.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kelly and Kinwei touched great points already. In fact, it's hard for me to kind of like share more from those points, because for one, I really believe that mobile esports is one of the biggest factors when it comes to the growth of esports nowadays, because you really have a pool of players that didn't even touch a PC. Right, there are a lot of kids right now where their first devices are mobile, and that goes to show that the market has exponentially grown because of what happened with this mobile esports revolution. I think that's for one. And I think on the second point, there are multiple other adaptations that are happening with blockchain, like what Kinwei mentioned and everything else. But for me, I think the general driver to why esports is really getting bigger is because of education. And education is really coming from different points. So for instance, one is streaming. I think streaming becoming a mainstream entertainment has really transformed education when it comes to gaming and esports, and how this community works has really turned, things upside down. They are the modern celebrities. They made gaming cool. They have shared what's happening inside the game in a very casual way. and I think that expanded the audience for that expanded the audience in general. That's for one. Second, are there a lot of educational firms such as the Academe and the other companies that are really helping out in terms of educating people about gaming and esports and what are the good that comes with it. Because I came from a time, I'm 33 by the way, so I came from a time when gaming wasn't cool at all. You needed to be a closet gamer, and people didn't want to talk about video games at all, right? But today, like in most of the webinars that you see, gaming is always part of the topic. So I think that just that proves that it's really a different time. And I think third, it's really the attention span of Gen Zs and millennials. With Gen Zs and millennials, and especially with the rise of TikTok, their attention span is down to 30 seconds. And because of that, all of the stakeholders and other companies are like, how do we get their attention? And I think one exception to that attention span is really gaming. Gaming is one type of content that Gen Zs and millennials consume for hours. And I think that's the beauty of esports, where it has the feeling of sport, but at the same time, it's in a platform that Gen Zs and millennials enjoy from their young age. So I think it's very, very powerful what's happening around us. The pandemic alone has revolutionized gaming and esports in a way that nothing could have ever done it. But at the same time, of course, there's a lot of negative things that happened. But I think we just need to look at the silver lining, and overall, we have really learned how to adapt and survive.
That's an interesting take, Tryke, and my fellow panelists, both Kelly and Kinwai as well, on the trends driving innovation and growth in the esports industry. Let's go for the second question. What do y'all think about the traditional sports and esports converging in the context of increasing digitalization across traditional industries? Kelly, maybe you'd like to start?
Sure. In terms of I would say, the relationship between both, we are seeing traditional sports trying to go more and more digital now these days, especially what with, unfortunately, the pandemic happening and all, and affecting certain sports titles, affecting, other leagues as well. Especially when it comes to basketball, football, etc. And some of them, they actually had to be shifted to a later date because of the pandemic. When it comes to digitalization, we are now seeing traditional sports structures also exploring, as what Tryke probably mentioned earlier on, viewership. They're exploring more live streaming services from their end. We will probably see much more greater collaboration between both going forward. What with traditional sports also trying to regain back some of the viewership that was also lost during the pandemic times, to try and attain or go back to pre-pandemic period or time frame in order to achieve much more larger and much more dynamic growth as well. I think other than that, apart from increased collaboration between both aspects, from my observation and from also what we saw for the Tokyo Olympics, I think this is probably still maybe a little bit of a struggle for now. But definitely we can see a much more greater dynamic going forward between both traditional and esports actually.
Nice. Thanks for sharing, Kelly. And how about you, Kinwai? What do you think about this convergence between traditional sports and esports?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite topics, actually. I would say, look, the pandemic, I personally estimated that it has caused a 7 to 9 years acceleration of digital behavior for an average individual. So whatever that was the behavior before, it has shifted fast forwarded to 7 years ahead, which means we live in a much more digital world today. Everything an individual does today, he would prefer, or he or she would prefer to have it on a digital platform at the fingertips. On top of that, as you put it, and social media, instant gratification, short attention span, everything plays into that digital behavior factor. And because of the nature of this, you are, as an individual, you're so digital. The things that you like would be more and more digital as well. So the traditional sports that you like, I think would still be there, but there will be blurring of lines between traditional physical sports and digital sports. Matter of time that people will try to marry the two. There will be hybrid digital and traditional sports. There will be events that encompasses both audiences and have one single hybrid audience, for example. Matter of time, I think, before someone start doing a hybrid digital traditional triathlon. I think those are things that would be pretty exciting, and that blurring of line between the gaming world and the physical world would be really among, I think, the dream vision of many of us who really think that gaming is going very mainstream as we speak.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you see like even traditional football clubs embracing esports. Some even have esports teams, if you see in the English Premier League. Yeah. How about Tryke? What do you think about it?
I think overall for me, esports is very lucky to really have traditional sports as a pattern. Especially, we don't have to reinvent a lot of things, when it comes to business models, the way we market things and everything else, right? Because at the end of the day, I see esports as an evolution of traditional sports in a way that it's just in a different platform, and connectivity is just so much faster, where there is not much logistical challenges, right? Like if you look at Southeast Asia as a whole, like I don't think there's a single sports IP that have really covered the whole of Southeast Asia. Outside of an imported IP such as the NBA, the NFL, and all of the other leagues out there, the MLB. But I think with what Mobile Legends is doing currently in Southeast Asia, that's the first of its kind where we really see proper localization in the different markets of Southeast Asia with established business models such as franchise leagues and, connected into the broadcasting partners, properly localized as well with the TV stations. I think they're really on the right track. And I think it's just a start of how other game publishers will really strategize and look into how to approach Southeast Asia, because, when it comes to Southeast Asia, localization is super important, and most Western companies don't really understand how to kind of like maneuver themselves into the space. And the fact that MLB did that for the past years, I think that will show the same pattern for the next publishers who will come into the space, just like how esports have patterned our world in the traditional sports kind of way. But at the end of the day, I feel like both will exist and both will learn from each other. There will be some places where we overlap, but I think together we can really innovate the entertainment experience of every viewer that's out there.
Yeah, definitely agree that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just basically copy, paste, and innovate what traditional sports have been doing since the beginning of time. And also, let's move on to the next question. How can brands, game publishers, developers, and marketers benefit from the growing trend in streaming? When we say streaming, we're talking about YouTube, Facebook gaming, live streaming platforms, Twitch, etc., even Nemo TV, and other live streaming service providers out there. So how can all these different parts of the ecosystem benefit from this growing trend in live streaming? Kelly, what do you think, since as a publisher for MOONTON?
I think as a publisher, we definitely benefited the most from live streaming. One primarily coming and stemming from our mobile game, Mobile Legends Bang Bang. The second one is actually MLA as well, which I will dive in a little bit further into detail in terms of our expansion. Third, how we've also drive, or rather how we've actually tried to ride on this trend is actually creating quite a fair bit of short form content that's actually very, very hot in platforms such as TikTok and YouTube gaming as well. Working very closely with them in order to also create and generate inspiring or either educational content, like take for instance teaching say for instance, if you are very, very new to gaming, if you are not sure how to play the game, introducing how-to guides, how to be a star, how to actually really, really trying to also succeed in esports. We've actually been doing such content with most of, I would say, the streaming platforms out there. We have also tried to, I would say, from our end, be a little bit more technical about it, especially for certain content creators that we are working very closely with. So there is a lot of educational material that we have released and actually shared across these streaming platforms that have also contributed to our growing success. When you teach others how to benefit, when you teach others how to also use or play a certain hero or a game, or benefit from a certain, I would say, campaign, that is also how we also rise as well along with the rest in terms of growth and streaming. I would say the other bigger thing would be obviously our own Mobile Legends professional league and our Mobile Legends development league as well. So many audiences also, they somewhat see esports as also another form of entertainment. They would then afterwards actually view or either rewatch the stream over and over again, that then afterwards also contributes to the numbers in our streaming platforms, especially. In terms of, I would say, how do you possibly make esports league more attractive for viewers? How do you possibly, make it a lot more, in a way, viewable or more interesting? It all once again boils down to the content. Content, once again, I think has been stressed over and over. Content is actually king when it comes to growing your streaming numbers. The sort of like content that you introduce and the sort of content that you do for any esports league, it actually really, really matters as well. And it's imperative and important to actually have like a proper, production team in place, guidelines and structures also to help grow and to help nurture a league to make it to become one of the best actually in terms of streaming numbers as well.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Kelly. And Kinwai, how about yourself? What do you think about this?
Well, Allan, I think if you look at some of the world's top streamers and top content creators, even, you'll find that many of them come from gaming and esports. So for that fact, you know that gaming and streaming and video, they're all tied to the hips per se. So actually a lot of these very interesting content and come from gaming and esports, and they have a big following from the community. So I think it's really interesting that, of course, you have other competing streaming content, but with esports, there's always a very loyal audience in the form of gamers out there, right? I think that it's just we're still very early days. It's just smart for brands, publishers, anyone who want to be in front of a global audience to take advantage of that streaming trend. And because the streaming trend is also changing very quickly, right? The diversification, you talk about short content, which is popular because of the trend now. So it's just an evolving process, but nevertheless, I think the audience is really adding on really quick. We saw a lot of success ourselves experimenting with streaming, not just mainstream esports content, but also I would say more lifestyle, casual gaming and esports based content on some of these social platforms. And it was a real success. We got, for example, on TikTok, we have some very casual content, and we got we got like 2 million views within a week. So it was very surprising for us even. But nevertheless, we can see that how this streaming channel is getting very powerful for brands, publishings, and anyone else who want to be in that space.
Cool. Thanks, Kinwai. And Tryke, what do you think about it?
Of course, for us, like we started with streaming first, and then esports was kind of like something that came after for us. So with 120 combined following on Facebook, and most of them are streamers, right? What I can say about how streamers and esports really come together in terms of like everything is that it's a decentralized way of creating content. I think that's how I see it. Basically, in the old times, you needed to have multiple production houses, TV stations, and whatnot to be able to get the attention of people. However, with streaming and communities that exist around them, a single person like Analo de Gosheng Fiao can actually have more viewers than a whole company that runs a certain production. And I think that's there's a positive and negative to that. But overall, I think streaming has decentralized content distribution. It has decentralized content creation. And if content is king and distribution is queen, the first stakeholder that figures out how to capture the market of these communities around these streamers are going to be the ones on top.
Yeah, totally agree.
Very interesting. Allan, maybe just wanted to add on to what Tryke was saying, right? So that's really a good point. The democratization of content creation, that's essentially streaming, right? So, of course, you have a few hundred million people out there who have great ideas compared to production houses, the traditional production houses. So you know how that race will end, right? The power is really in the hand of the content creators, the streamers now, who can do all sort of very innovative content at very low cost with very little equipment needed to get online and start streaming. So that's really the wonderful part of streaming.
Yeah, and I think something that I want to add to that as well. I mean, democratization is such a great term. And with that comes great competition, like sometimes when you see so much content out there and everybody's trying to do their best, the level of quality in terms of how you consume content also changes. So when you're already used to a certain level of quality, any content creator, any production house have to be able to level up their game. And if not, nobody's really going to watch them. So I think that's also the beauty of, all of these things that are happening in the streaming space.
Yeah, and just to add on, everyone's like doing amazing content these days, even from a handphone, you don't have to have a few $100,000 equipment, etc. So definitely agree with you guys. Next question. The internet and digital media has been considered an equalizer in terms of access. Are esports also fostering diversity in terms of demographics, geography, and accessibility? Maybe Kelly, you'd like to chime in on this?
Yeah, sure. I think in terms of also like what we're doing as a gaming publisher and esports provider from our end, we are also trying to encourage more female-driven tournaments as well. So there will definitely be something coming up actually for us next year in terms of this. I can't really share too much details, but we are quite excited for it. We are also very, very hopeful, and also we want more female players definitely to participate in our leagues as well. We feel that esports should be for all, not just catering to one particular group, one particular segment, but definitely esports should definitely be made widely available for all. Gaming to me since young has always been such a safe platform and also a way of escapism for me to also just sort of like escaping from whatever that's actually going on in my life as a female, honestly. But at the same time, we have also been seeing some cases as well of esports also being a little bit more male-dominated, male-centric. Actually, that is not true at all. We do have our fair share, and we do have a lot of female gamers playing Mobile Legends Bang Bang every single day. And we also want to foster their love, foster their dedication to the craft as well. And this also includes other groups of diversity and other groups pertaining to other regions, which is also why, once again, we decided to expand our Pro League onto the West, starting from Brazil. Hopefully, in the near future, we will also start more leagues in other places such as Europe as well.
Nice. Excited to see the upcoming updates from MOONTON in next year. And how about Kinwai? What do you think about it?
Well, so echoing Kelly's sentiment, female empowerment and gender equality is really a big topic for us at ESPL. We know gaming is definitely meant for all. It never should be gender specific or gender heavy area. So we set out and make sure that first we set out and make sure that there are really access to all sorts of games that are gender neutral, not just skewing towards a particular gender. So out of the 26 titles we have, many of them are actually, all of them are played by both genders equally. Number two, because we are really a grassroots online esports platform, so we are very close to the community across all the markets, the global markets we are in. So millions of gamers come to our platform every month, right? And we actually track through registration and also to track in terms of the demographics of the gamers who come and compete on our platform. It's really surprising. Last 18 months, we actually tracked in terms of gender ratio. It's a very surprising number that I was shocked to see, but very encouraging as well. Female gamers make up of 43% of our platform, right?
Wow.
So it's almost coming to almost a very close to half. So even female gamers are actually now competing onto grassroots esports events. So they are definitely a very significant force. It's almost half of the gaming population, and that's reflective of course, what we really think the gaming community should be. So I think that's exactly the great question you put, Allan. So it is really a great access to diversity, to gender equality, to empower anyone who wants to game. For whatever reason, it should be a very safe place for gamers to get onto.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Kinwai. Interesting insights. And over to Tryke. What do you think about it?
I think I don't even know why we're still talking about diversity in 2021. You know what I mean? Like, I feel we should be already progressive at this point. For Tier 1 entertainment, we have always practiced diversity and acceptance of anywhere you come from or who you are. In fact, the captain of our team in Blacklist International is an LGBTQ, right? So for us, we should be more than that by now. And hopefully this platform really welcomes everyone more and diversity more. I mean, we're a company that has a female co-founder. We have an esports team that's led by an LGBTQ. So if that's not, a symbol of showing that this has to be the norm in these days, I don't know what can be.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Tryke, and well done on your team. Last question for now. How will we see esports evolving? Prediction time, guys. Where do we see esports in the long term? Maybe just since we're running out of time, maybe just a one-liner about where you see the future of esports, starting with Kelly.
Maybe esports going to the what they call it, the metaverse, or some new fangled trend that's happening in one of the streaming companies that we work with as well. Definitely maybe seeing a sort of like I would say like SAO sort of like combat world happening. Yeah, maybe that could be something that could happen.
Okay, and how will we see esports evolving? Where do we see esports in the long term? Prediction time, and over to Tryke.
I think for me, esports is really the future of online interaction and entertainment. The reason why is because there's nothing as interactive in terms of viewership as esports, right? You can have 4 to 5 seconds of a moment, and that is something that everybody can share, just like how sports is, right? So with how sports developed over the years, I mean, it stayed because there is just a certain level of collective experience that it provides to people that everybody can talk about 5 to 10 years from now, and because of that, for me, it's the future. But however, it's not a replacement of anything. Sports is still going to exist, but esports is going to be a new layer to it, and that's how I see it. And my prediction is that we're not even, if it was 1 to 10, we're not even on the half of it yet. We're not even on half of it yet. Yet it's really gonna go farther, as we expect it to be. Maybe we're in stage 2 or 3, and there are 7 more steps that are going to happen in the years to come, which is very, very exciting.
Yeah, thanks, Tryke, for sharing. And back to the question: how will we see esports evolving? Where do we see esports in the long term? Kinwai, would you like to share your thoughts about that?
Sure. For me, I think esports is already mainstream today. It can only get bigger. There will be a lot of innovation going on. It's going to be really exciting the next 5 years.
Thanks, Kinwai. And thank you, everyone, fellow speakers, for tuning in today and sharing your thoughts. And take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allan.
Thanks, Allan.
Thank you for having us. Bye bye.